Servus Leute, willkommen zu einem neuen Video hier auf dem Austria Arms Kanal und wir haben heute den Jimmy Cannon zu Gast bei uns und der Jimmy ist ein ehemaliger Angehöriger der US Army, 26 Jahre Dienstzeit und 20 davon bei den US Special Forces, den Green Berets. Also sehr viele Dienstjahre hinter sich mit einer ziemlichen Einsatzerfahrung und heute schauen wir uns mit dem Jimmy einfach ein paar Handfeuerwaffen an, die er damals auch in seiner Dienstzeit verwendet hat. Und diese Handfeuerwaffen wären unter anderem die Beretta 92 bzw. M9, die Glock in verschiedensten Modellvarianten und dann zu guter Letzt natürlich auch die Sig Sauer M17. So Jimmy, today we will start talking about handguns.
Oh yeah.
Handguns you used during your service time in the military. Yep. And there were a few specific ones. And I would say let's start with the very first one, the Beretta.
Yeah, first and foremost, the Beretta 92. That's not the actual Beretta 92, but I think in your shop, this is the closest one we could find.
Yeah, genau.
So that was definitely the first one. And it wasn't that common for guys to shoot this or carry it in the infantry. Unless if you were a machine gunner, machine gunners carried them. And then I think sometimes the medics would. But most of the time it was the machine gunners that carried it. And, you know, the pistol range as an infantry guy was just shooting a big silhouette. So never really got any, proper pistol training until I joined SF. And that's where the pistol training really took off. And then when I was beginning of SF, we were still rocking the Beretta 92s. There'd be some 1911s laying around. Not too many of those would get shot. I mean, like 7 rounds as opposed to, 15. So a lot of guys would carry the 92. And we did have the Brigadier slide on ours.
So did you use the M9 designated ones, or did you have
the M9s?
The M9s,
Yep.
okay.
And we had the aftermarket, the Brigadier slide. So this actually has a Brigadier slide on it.
That's right.
But that was not the one. Man, I wish that was the one we had. That would be like really cool.
Ago,
yeah, but we had it was basically a robust slide that was on this. You had serrations in the front, much better rear sight post on it.
Also für die von euch, die nicht wissen, was der Brigadier Slide ist, also der Brigadier Slide bei der Beretta 92 ist einfach ein breiterer Schlitten, der etwas massiver ausgeformt war mit auch Front Serrations und den hatten die Green Beret Special Forces bei ihren Beretta 92 Varianten. Die Beretta 92 war ja damals auch die US Army Dienstpistole. Das ist jetzt keine M9 an sich, das ist eine 92er aus einer neueren Fertigung. Die hat auch hier diese andere Farbe in diesem Cerakote Burnt Bronze. Ist jetzt für unser Video einfach nur ein Veranschaulichungsmodell einer Beretta 92-M9. Um halt zu zeigen, wie die Waffe ungefähr ausgesehen hat. Also ihr könnt euch die vorstellen, ohne der braunen Farbe, ziemlich ähnlich. And the M9, when you had it before the time in the Special Forces, did they also have the Brigadier slide?
No. It was bare bones. I mean, and that was that was the Army service pistol at the time. So,
but
it was
why did the SF guys have the Brigadier slide? For what reason?
I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, they were just there, and I liked it because it had a much cooler rear sight post. You could see it a lot quicker.
Was there any performance enhancement?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, it was definitely heavier, so you could definitely swing it around and smash somebody if you needed to. But no, not really. Now, the other interesting thing that we did have when it's like, hey, how do you attach lights to it? Well, I just happen to have one of these. This one's not even opened. Model MR11. Surefire made it, and this was the attachment, basically attached to the trigger guard itself. So this thing there was a plate on the back of it that you would unscrew, and it would basically screw on, just like that, and then you could mount Surefire to it. And those were pretty popular, and they were a dime a dozen. They were really hard to come by. The hex head, for the screw was very small. So guys would often strip them out, not using the right one or using the same old wrench laying around. But I can't believe I still have one of those laying around.
Unpacked, sealed.
It's sealed.
Wow.
Yeah. The model MR11, Crazy.
Was Jimmy auch jetzt eben gesagt hat, dass also Special Forces die Befestigung für Lichter oder ähnliches gebraucht haben und da gab es von Surefire diese MR11 Schiene und dann konnte man halt ganz einfach Taschenlampen und ähnliches befestigen. So, just flashlights or did you also have laser designated?
No, it's just flashlights.
Just flashlights.
Yeah, and then there were flashlights too for the 1911s as well, attachments.
Yeah. 1911 wise, talking about that, which 1911s have you used?
It was the Colt 1911s. I mean, some of them were the old service pistol from like Vietnam.
Really?
And then like they would just like take them through a refurbishment, new springs, make sure everything was good. Put some new internal parts on them, make sure they pass the test. But I mean, some of those things were still around,
Really?
But the 45 ammo by then was just so hard to get a hold of, so no one really like shot it that much.
Yeah. After the Beretta M9 Brigadier Special Forces version, did you ever got your hands on these?
No.
Ones? Yeah.
Never. However, when the Army was competing for the new handgun stuff, before the SIG took it, it was the M9 basically adding Picatinny to it.
M9A1.
To rebid for the Army program for the pistol. And I think that's when we saw maybe some variants, but they were like in testing or whatever. But no, never. Unloaded, nothing in there, right? So what's cool is the old Jackie chain trick. You come across here. Get the ones that are broken in. God, you can do it so quick. Cool. And you can come across here. Wait, there it is. That's kind of cool. And you're left like, what the fuck?
You basically just press this button, switch over the lever, and then
you do it at the same time. It's like press push. Yeah, but when they're really broken in, you can fucking rip them down quick. Yeah, and then after the Beretta 92, it was the 19, man.
the Glock, yeah.
Yep, the Gen 3. And there were some 17s floating around, like the old Gen 1s I saw laying around in somebody's armory before. It's always a surprise in SF. It kind of differs from group to group. Like some guys get stuff before the other guys. But yeah, the 19s, they came in and they stayed around for quite a while. And
Which year was it when you got the
Let's see, I think the first time I saw the 19 was probably like around, like in hands of dudes, like maybe around like 07, 06, 07. They were laying around. And yeah, I mean, you go from this pistol to that one, and it had the 5-pound trigger pull, so the factory trigger, like from a 9-pound. A 9 pounds, I think it was. And there's a trick that we used to do. You take out the trigger spring, like from the back here. You take this out. There's a trigger spring in there. You take off 2 links with some wire snips. You clip it off, and it makes the trigger spring a lot lighter. So it's much better. You can make a performance trigger
with a wire cutter, basically.
Yeah, wire cutter. You just cut off 2 links. I think there was like a set number of links. I think it was 2, no more than 2, and you get the trigger like way more lighter.
Really, and it was still reliable firing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's a little trick you can do. And then 19s came around, and the biggest difference that guys are having issues with was, one, different trigger, no hammer, no decocker, and shorter sight radius. So here you had a longer sight radius. So the 25-meter bull that guys had to shoot for the qualification became much harder for some guys, especially. That's where you really had to hold on to that. Shorter barrel length that's going to jump up more. So guys are getting used to that. But it was polymer frame, which was kind of cool. You had the Picatinny, and you could put all the cool lights on it. You didn't have to worry about that the MR11, you know. And then there was just like a ton of accessories that came out for the Glock. And a lot of guys were just putting all kinds of like fiber optic sights and all kinds of stuff. And then later on the red dots came. But yeah, it's kind of cool.
How was it for you, your experience when you first had the Glock after the Beretta?
Yeah, I think once I went to Glock, I never went back. I mean, it was just, I don't even know how many rounds through a Glock. I'm just so used to it now. I mean, I was shooting a Beretta, you know, for some of the B-roll that's probably going to be coming through. And man, you talk about a flashback, pulling that thing out after a transition, it was just like, that trigger just kept going and going and going. And it's like it's dipping down. I'm like, oh man, totally forgot about how long that trigger pull is on the Beretta. Because I was just so used to shooting Glock. Beretta, Glock. Glock, I come here. Beretta, Glock. Beretta, Glock. Beretta, Glock. But yeah, then Glock 19 was like Gen 3s, pretty wild. And then from there, 17 started trickling in. It was much better because I thought that having a full-size gun, especially when you're carrying it outside, you know, you're not trying to conceal it. It's just much better to shoot, you know, longer sight radius, easier to aim. It was a very nice gun. And then the 19 kind of became like the concealed gun that we would work with.
But you first had the 19s before you got issued the 17s.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the 19s kind of, that was like, here's your gun. You did everything with the 19. So I got pretty good at the 19. And then when the 17 came out, the 19s kind of became the your concealed guns that you would use. Yeah. So after the 17 came, there was a certain project that was going on. One of the units I was in where we had a 17 and it had interchangeable slides, so you could change it from like the Glock 17 slide to the 34, the 9mm one. And then we also had 22s with a 40 cal round, and you could swap that out with the 35 slide, with the longer slide. And that was kind of cool. I don't know, I think the 34 is a great gun, just nice long sight radius.
Before for a duty gun, wasn't it a bit too long?
I don't know, you just get used to it. I mean, the thing is with that long sight radius, just shooting like 25 meters was just so easy. Like with that thing, like shooting it right into a bull. But yeah, it's a bit cumbersome, but I mean, the accuracy you get out of it, it's pretty good. Yeah, especially a lot of the recce guys carrying that thing.
Really? No.
And then after that, a lot of those went away, and then we got the Glock 17 Gen 5s, and that was kind of cool because that was the first one that came out with basically our red dot cut. Because before that, guys were putting on like these plates that would slide in there.
Yeah.
I think it was Raven concealment or something.
With the aim point, micros.
Yeah. There was some crazy stuff that was going around. A lot of the old sights and some of the old Chinese stuff, the alloy stuff, they just weren't good. They were flying off and not too good. But then the optics cut came in for 17 Gen 5s, and that was a game changer. And then you had like a pack of like all these different little Glock plates you could put in for the different cuts. And then we got a new cycle of Glock 19s that came in when those phased out, and all of those had optics cut in it. Because, you know, everybody started jumping on the red dot craze. Yeah.
Which red dot have you used?
So there was a couple ones. There was like, so we actually used some of the old red dots that used to go on top of the L-cam, the doctor.
Doctor sights. Yeah.
So a lot of guys would put the doctors on the 19s and 17s because that was all that was laying around. No one wanted to buy that stuff. Then there was the Vortex. It was kind of a cheap sight. The doctor wasn't that reliable either. RMRs are going on there. That was kind of cool. And then the Delta Point Pros came around. Those are pretty neat. I think out of all of them, the Delta Point Pro was probably a lot of guys' favorite ones. And now everybody's going to all the closed emitters or
the Acros,
you know, or the Acros or the SROs and stuff. Yeah. And then now we're up to the M17,
which is this one here.
Yep, from Sig. And this one was, I don't know, it was kind of cool when it came out because it's very modular. I mean, guys with bigger hands, smaller hands, you know, because that's where the 19, if you had big hands, the 19 was absolutely not your friend. But with the 17, there was a lot of modularity to it. But my experience when I first pulled it out and went out to the range shooting, it wasn't good. I mean, this rear sight popped off, this thing popped off, and there was like a little tiny spring in there, and it lost that in the gravel somewhere. And I thought, you know, for a gun that was, you know, selected to be the Army gun, you figure you wouldn't put little small springs like around like where you would change out your optics. But I don't know. Other than that, though, I mean, it's a good shooting gun, and right out of the box, it's pretty good. And then there's with all the modularity, because like even the SOP mod edition, there was like I think you get like a mag well with it, and there's some other stuff. But a lot of guys were just buying out different lowers and swapping them out with like I know Daniel Horner had one come out. There's a couple companies now making them. But yeah, it's not a bad gun. I mean, the front serrations in the front, it's pretty cool. Like kind of what the Gen 5 did. The front serrations was really interesting. So you can grab it and pull it, make it more efficient when you're manipulating the gun. Yeah, I mean, it's still polymer in nature. I mean, the only reason why there's a safety on it because the Army wanted to have a safety for the regular soldiers and stuff. But you know, the SF guys, I mean, the standard was when the Beretta was in the holster, the hammer was forward and it was on fire. That's how you carried it. So you just pull it out and squeeze the trigger.
Okay. And the M17 replaced the Glock at the SF units as well?
Yeah, so right now, from what I remember before I left, it was like the 19s are still around, the newer, the Gen 5s. The Gen 5, so with the optics cut, and then the M17s. But like I said, most of the guys are using the M17, or some of the guys that just don't want to give up the Glocks. But the 17s and all that stuff are gone for the most part. Yeah. Now there's other units within SF, you know, that's using other stuff, but I'm just speaking across the broad spectrum. Yeah. But a lot of guys I know are shooting these now with, you know, different Delta grips. Point Pros or like all kinds of tricked out stuff on them.
Yeah. Have you ever used suppressors on the handguns?
Yes, we had suppressors on the 17s, and there was only like, maybe like five on the team. And that was just like kind of a cool thing. And it was more or less like the recce guys would carry. But we didn't really have like the right holsters back then. It's like they issue all this stuff, but like where's the holster? Cry Precision came out with a cool holster, and we bought a bunch of those. You had to activate the button snap. Yeah. You know, take it off and pull it out. I mean, it was
the gun clip, I think it's called.
Yeah. And we used that one, but we didn't really like carry that. Like, what are you gonna use that for? You know, like secret James Bond missions or it's the ability to, you know, throw on a suppressor is kind of cool for whatever you're doing. And that's the thing about SF, you never know what you're going to do. And that's why like modularity is the key, and then having a wide range of selection of guns and being trained on all this stuff, it's very important.
So talking about handguns, out of these three brands, which one would you choose?
I mean, honestly, the Glock 17 was my favorite, 100%.
Still above the M17.
Yeah. And that's not a bias thing. I think, no, it's kind of biased. Just because I have more rounds on this, and I had a bad experience with this. And that was my experience, and I don't want to be that judgmental, because it is a very good firearm. But I think when you start mass producing these things, just like anything with the Army, it's like the quality goes down a little bit. And I know Glock's just always had a high standard of functionality and quality control. It's Austrian, you know. Yeah, the Glock 17. But still a good gun. I'm not hating it. I just, if I had to pick over all of them, this one. And then the Beretta, big one on that was the locking blocks. They would always go out on those things. They weren't designed in SF to shoot thousands, hundreds of thousands of rounds. They weren't designed for that. You know, they were designed to shoot X amount of rounds for your 25-meter qualification, then you're done, you know. We'd put thousands of rounds to these things.
Talking about shooting, how often did you went on training and shooting? How many rounds have you fired through handguns per week? What would you say? Okay,
I would say, like, depending on where I was at and what you're doing at the time, you know. So I would say there's one unit I was in, you know, the SIF, when I was there, we shot like three days out of the week. I mean, we shot hundreds and hundreds of thousands of rounds. That's why like got so good shooting, was just shooting all those rounds. But on a normal day, you know, maybe like once a week, which I think is pretty good, or like once every 2 weeks if we're really busy. And everything comes in cycles. You know, we'll just devote all of our time to like, okay, now we got to make everybody snipers, so we're going to train on sniper stuff. Or now we got to, you know, start training on like mountain climbing or something like that. So you're not going to really shoot that much during that cycle. But yeah, when you don't shoot for a while, like anything else, you get you don't get you're not that good at it anymore. So I always call it the 2 week rule. If you're not shooting like with at least once every 2 weeks, you're going to start to lose your edge. But it's okay to lose in speed, but not accuracy. And accuracy, that's that the way I define accuracy is self-discipline. So doing everything the same way every single time to make your shot. Speed, I define that as repetition. Speed will come in time. But if you were to set the gun down for a long time and you were to go out, as long as you don't lose accuracy, you'll be all right. Speed will come in time.
Okay, Jimmy, thanks for all these insights. And one last question before we close this video.
Yeah.
If you would go back to service and you would have the chance to take any handgun you want, doesn't matter if it's in service or not, which handgun would be your pick for service?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I'm going to answer this one very quickly. There was a 1911, because they Colt made 1911s, obviously, but because during the Vietnam War effort, there were so many of them being made, you know, they outsourced it to other companies. And there was actually one of these pistols that was in the armory, and it was a 1911, but it was a Union and Switch. It was a railroad company that made it, and they're super rare. And one of them was in the armory. So if you were talking about if I could go back and pick any pistol, you know, I would pick that one just because of the rarity of it and the story. You know, to be made by a railroad company, it's kind of cool. Like, you know, when the effort comes, like all these different companies come to the table to help out. But that would be the one, the Union and Switch 1911.
So it would be really a 1911 out of all these brand new fancy handguns. You would choose the 1911.
100%. The Glock, they're all much better performing handguns, but I would want it just because it's made by a railroad company.
Yeah, just because of that. Because of the story. Okay. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you again for all these insights.
Ja, man. 100%.
Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen hier mit Jimmy Cannon, ex-Green Beret, 20 Jahre Special Forces.
Retired,
ja. Genau. Diese Sachen zu durchleuchten, einfach seine Einblicke zu bekommen in die verschiedenen Handfeuerwaffen, die auch wirklich behördlich verwendet worden sind in der US-Armee. Angefangen mit der Beretta 92, teilweise 1911er, Glocks und dann zum Schluss die ganz neue P320 oder M17 genannt. Super coole Sache. Ich hoffe, es hat euch gefallen. Und in den nächsten Videos mit Jimmy schauen wir uns dann auch andere Sachen an, die hier so behördlich verwendet worden sind. Und das wären unter anderem auch Präzisionsgewehre. So, next one will be a cool video. Ich hoffe, ihr schaut rein, liked das Video, teilt das Video gerne und wenn ihr mehr von Jimmy sehen wollt, dann schaut auch auf seinem Instagram-Kanal vorbei, Canon Ops, schreiben wir unten in die Beschreibung rein und da seht ihr dann auch mehr von Jimmys Content. Also, wir freuen uns dann, bis dahin und ciao.
Cool. Oh yeah.